we could call it consciousness. That makes it easier to speak about, but actually consciousness is not a thing. So when you really like experiment and focus on consciousness, you realize that consciousness disappears, that there is no consciousness. But if we go with the word consciousness, because that is a nice way in order to call it something, like there is a consciousness now that's happening, and it's not limited to a person, and it's not limited inside your body. So right now you're conscious of me, you're not unconscious of me. See, it's not like I don't exist. There's a consciousness of me. So I'm appearing in your consciousness, you could say. If I wasn't appearing in your consciousness, then I wouldn't be here. Like you can't just suddenly be like, okay, I'm going to be unconscious of Lisa, I'm going to be unconscious of a chair, and there's just going to be a wall. You can't do that. Like, I'm appearing inside your consciousness, and your consciousness is all things that you're conscious of. We're not talking about unconsciousness and consciousness of dynamics. We're talking about that base sense of being alive, awake, of knowing that this is. So when you look at me, there's also a consciousness of this plant and of the wall, but it's both nameless. Like, you know, this plant's here, you can see it, but yet you don't name it, it just is. There's just color happening. And the same with my top. You're not naming my top as you look at me, but yet there's a consciousness of the color. There's a consciousness of it, of the birds, but you don't name the birds. And that consciousness is your birthright. Like when you were born, there was consciousness. You can't remember it when you're born because your brain isn't functioning to remember it. So your brain wasn't big enough to remember that period, but there was a consciousness. And this consciousness is only here. This consciousness doesn't own or have a memory, but it produces a body that has a memory. But so consciousness is blank. It's like it's experiencing right now, but it doesn't have the ability to remember things in time. It produces a human with a brain that can remember things in time. So consciousness is a completely free slate. So it's being conscious of this. It's being conscious of the wall, the chair, this, your computer, my voice. It's conscious of all these things, and then the body remembers it and the body interprets it. The body is like a microphone or a video recorder, whatever way you want to call it. It's like an instrument in which it's perceiving senses. Consciousness is perceiving the senses of what's happening. And it's your birthright. You never asked for consciousness. Consciousness is always there in the background, supporting everything. It's there no matter what you do. You can't get rid of consciousness. If you turn consciousness off, then there's like blackout. You can't turn consciousness off. There can just be nothing to be conscious of. But if you turned consciousness off, so if you had that idea, there would be nothing to experience. So it would just be instantly on again. Like you can only know experience, so it would just be turned back on again, and there would be experiences happening.